When did your passion for cycling arise from?
You know, it's interesting. I had a friend involved in an accident and became a paraplegic in 1994 in November, and he hand cycled across Canada in '99. And to support him, I hand cycled with him, and a couple days, and my wife actually rode some of the stages, and she could get into road riding, and that's what kind of led me to it. And then I started riding with some guys and recognized that it wasn't the best thing for hockey specific training, so I didn't ride a lot, but got out and I just enjoyed the camaraderie and obviously the fitness side of things. You know, I think that for me, I'd kind of replace golf. I think golf is looked upon as a game where there's great camaraderie, you go with your buddies, and so this is much the same. I meet my buddies in the morning and we go and tell stories and tell lies and tease one another and all that sort of thing, but there's a real fitness component to it. So, and I think there's something really unique about seeing the world on a bike. I think we all grow up as kids riding a bike because it's fun, and then as you become a teenager and into your 20s, you kind of stop riding a bike, but you realize when you get back to it that it's fun. It's something very liberating about it, very freeing, and so it became a catalyst for me to kind of see parts of the world. You know, I've done a 10-day race across Portugal, done several races in Europe, and point to point, so you're actually riding your bike across countries, across mountain ranges, and it's just something unique about being human powered and very satisfying about riding your bike from A to B and accomplishing a goal. So
it's allowed you to see some incredible parts of the world. I'm just wondering if you can reflect on that, what it's like to come down and see Lake Como below you, or to go through the Alps, or go through
the one thing, some of the most famous climbs in Europe, and the one amazing part in Europe is that these roads travel through these mountain ranges and down the other side into other valleys, and so I've watched the Tour de France. I'm a cycling fan. I admire the commitment and the courage and everything else that it takes, and to be able to do the same rides as those guys do and experience it. And something about being on a bike, and because you're out there for a long time and you spend 2 hours on some of these climbs, and the beauty is incredible, and it's just a great way to see the world. And some of these trips I've done, it's kind of interesting waking up in the morning with only one thing to do, and that's go ride your bike.
So different from your hockey life, yet are there parallels there? Obviously there's the passion, the physical commitment, the camaraderie.
I think one of the things that led me to cycling is when you have a goal, when you want to compete in a race that's across Portugal or through Europe, and you set a goal. And I think being a hockey player, you had a goal to train to every summer, all season long. You're goal oriented. You're thinking about achieving that goal. And I guess when I retired, I was looking for something to kind of say that this is what I'm working towards. I need a purpose. I need a purpose to go out on my bike and train, because I know I'm getting ready for something down the road. And so I think that's what probably some of these events and why they work for me is because I've always had that, for my whole adult life, I've had the first day of training camp as a day I need to be ready for, and I trained hard all summer long, so it's just kind of a natural progression, I guess.
I see you've got a poster of Eddie Merckx that signed here, the great Belgian cyclist. Could you tell me about that?
Yeah, I got the opportunity to meet Eddie. Well, obviously, I've become friends with Axel. His son lives in Kelowna. He's married a girl from Kelowna. He's got two girls, and wonderful guy, and 15-year pro, 11 Tour de France's, and anyways, Axel took us on a tour of Belgium, and we went to 2 of the spring classics, the Flèche Wallonne and the Bastogne-Liège races that are famous in Europe as classic races, and got to meet Eddie and rode with Eddie a few days, and it was pretty special. I tell a story that being in Europe with Eddie Merckx is like being in Canada with Bobby Orr. People are in awe, and he's he's royalty there, and you realize that the culture of cycling is so special in Europe. It's like hockey in Canada, especially in Belgium. So it's just pretty cool to meet someone who was a legend. I mean, it's cultural. I mean, it's you know, what hockey is to Canada, cycling is to places in Europe, whether it be France or Belgium or Holland, and it's just a different way of life. And obviously, there's a lot of Canadians that enjoy riding their bike, whether it be to and from work or, you know, casually in the evening or whatever. But I think the one thing about cycling that's unique for me is that it's just it's mentally freeing. It's a bit of a release, and you know, for me, activity and exercise is not only physical; it's more mental than it is physical. And I guess being on a bike, especially through the last 3 months, kind of from April when I was hired through kind of free agency, you know, I relied on being on the bike as just an opportunity to kind of think and get things out of my mind and just get kind of some clear-headed, some clarity on some things. And so it's much as much as it is physical, it's a lot mental.